All right, let's get the specs out of the way first. We got medium, giant Trance 2024 Trance X Advanced, so full carbon, elite E+2, so E2. Performance fork, performance rear shock. It's just got the float. I don't know if that's DPS or they just call it a float. Large can, Evol can. The performance fork's just got the grip on it. 44mm offset. We got a 76-degree seat angle, which is good for climbing. It actually feels quite long. The bike feels quite long to me. 65.8 head angle, so a little steeper on the head angle. Didn't bother me at all. It was actually quite nice and nimble and good to be able to dart through stuff. Can catch you on the real steep, fast stuff, but it's definitely adequate. It's fine. 12-15 wheelbase. Rides longer than these numbers suggest. So long it's trying to get away. Stay there, you turkey. Okay. I'm just going to have to do one of these ones. The chainstay, 447, so long chainstay compared to the 12-15 wheelbase. My bike's a 1240-ish wheelbase. Most of my bikes have been like that, or the last couple of bikes have been like that, and a lot of bikes have been testing around that size, 1230 to 1250. This doesn't feel short at all. Looking at the numbers, I thought it was going to be a bit crampy, but it's the opposite. It feels real spacey. 40mm stem, still plenty roomy. I'm 175 centimeters. What do we got? 457 reach. So pretty much the same as the reach on my bike, but feels a little bit longer. Feels a little bit more roomy. 165 crank. So e-bike, I think the large and or maybe it's just the extra large comes with a 170 crank, which is completely unnecessary. There's no reason to have a crank longer than a 165 on a bike that you have to pedal over rocks and stuff. I don't think. This has got a little bit of a higher bottom bracket. It's only got a 10mm bottom bracket drop, so it does have a lot more clearance than some bikes. So that was welcoming. So a 160 crank with that clearance would be just a dream. But the 165s, I got a long killer. I'm used to 165s, so that's kind of my jam. So happy with that crank length. Could be shorter with an e-bike, but doesn't matter. 170mm dropper, all good. So that's the specs out of the way. The ride. We've also got this headset cable routing. So routing through the headset, which is great because your cables never move when your bars move. I actually really like that, but I don't like even thinking about having to route things through there. And I guess if you've done it a few times, you'd get used to it and you'd know the routines and the shortcuts and whatever. But looks a bit tricky, looks a bit complex for the sake of being complex, but it's tidy. I'll give them that. It's really, really tidy. I like the motor. So this motor is 85 Newton meters, but it's a bit smaller. I think it was 2.5 kilos, a bit smaller than the normal e-bike motors. A little bit clunky like all motors, but did not bother me at all. A little bit delayed on power surge when you get back onto the power, when it comes back down out of your back into your pedal assist zone. So when you're out of the pedal assist zone 25 plus and you're coming into a pinch and you're starting to slow down because you're stuck in the mud, and then it'll kind of slow down to 20 or 22 or whatever, and then it'll kick in and start blasting you back up the hill. So that could be improved a little bit, but I think most of the motors are fairly similar like that. The Shimano ones, I think, come on a little quicker. The Bosch is really good, comes on pretty well straight away. But I haven't ridden a Bosch for a while either, so a little, well, not that long, but a little while. The 400 watt hour battery, it's perfect. I think it's perfect for the trade-off that, sure, it's great to have a bigger battery. You definitely prefer a bigger battery. You can get the add-on for this, the range extender for this, so it's another 400 watt hours, I think, so you can double your party, but then you can't run your drink bottle. I love that I can get a full-size drink bottle in here with ease, no worries. It's not the greatest drink bottle cage here, suitable for my bottle, but does the job, and it's super snug, holds the bottle super snug. But the main point is I can get a full bottle in there, no worries, which makes me happy. Let's wedge this sucker so it doesn't roll away on me. There we go. A bike without a drink, Yeah, that can't carry a drink. I don't like that. I don't like to have a backpack just so I can have a swig of a drink. So stoked that you can get a drink bottle in there. Stoked that they've got a range extender. If you're into longer rides, you're definitely going to want that, especially if you're charging like I did. So that hill that I was riding yesterday when I did all my laps. So I did a 5-lap session on this. Every lap was 200 meters of climbing, and it wasn't a mellow climb. It was straight up the hill. So generally, I'd ride around on the Pioneer Women's Trail. Sometimes I'd push up the steep straight up the hill and just walk the steepest chute, like steepest pinch climb. But on these e-bikes, I always just go straight up that hill, and I guess it drains battery for sure. We got a dissector on the back, just an EXO TR, so dual compound, harder rubber, faster rolling, and we've got the EXO Max Grip, EXO Plus Max Grip up the front. And the bike was fast. It was probably a little bit slower than it was with the EXO dual compound at the front on the climb, but on the descent, way better with the grippier tire. Heaps more confidence, heaps more. It's just safer. It feels like it's heaps safer up the front. So that's, if I was to buy this bike, that's the first thing I'd change is tire. Put a good tire, which I've already done for him. So he doesn't know, but he can have that tire. Bit of a gift for letting me ride his bike. A mud flap. I'd put a mud flap on it straight away. You don't want to be taking rocks in the face and in the helmet. It's pretty annoying. And just crap like dirt and whatever in your eyes. What else would I do? These pedals, these giant pedals, they're quite long. So they're quite, from front to back, they're quite long. So your ball of your foot sits here in the slippery bit, and your feet, those sides of your feet, you can't get enough weight down on that part, those parts of the pins to get really solid grip, unless you've got a large foot. So I'm a 10.5, size 10-ish, 44 Euro size. So I'd say like a 47 or a 48 kind of guy, 13, 14, size 14. These pedals would be perfect because you've got a longer foot and a longer spread. But for a normal size foot like mine, they're a little bit too long for maximum grip. So I go back to my clean skins and the Bontrages and the plastic pedals are simple. I like them. The tag metals, plastic pedals, they're killer. The seat was actually quite comfortable. It's the same seat that it's on my Giant, so I guess my booties blended to it and dealt with it. They got the trail bar, which is, I think it's a 20 rise, 25 rise maybe. Not a lot of rise there, but good enough. It's 1080, so I always measure my bar height to the top of the grips on both sides and calibrate, make sure the bike's level and whatever. So 1080 at the front. 150 fork just performed really, really well. It's got 3 tokens. I went a 4th token, but I think the answer was not the 4th token. That was just on the last run. I think, or the second to last run and the last run. I think the answer was just a little bit more pressure instead of the token. So I've reassessed that. So it's back to 3 tokens for him, and he's just going to run a little bit more pressure. Sag that I've ended up on is around the 17 mil mark. So again, 35% sag. I'm finding on most bikes these days, I'm really hunting that deeper sag. On my Rain, I'm 32, 33%, probably 33%. Yeah, it rides really, really well down to that 35% range. 35% is 16.5 mil of sag on this one, 48.5 mil, 47.5 mil stroke. Sorry. And it feels killer. Clapped it once or twice. When it was a little softer, I clapped it once pretty hard. I was at 140, bumped it up to 142, and I'm just enough. It's just enough to not be slamming. I will slam it on a hard hit, but on 99% of all of the riding, that is just perfect. That is perfect. And the fork, 3 tokens, 95 would probably be best for me, I think. 95, 96. I was at 92, 93, 94 kind of area, and when I bottomed it out, it was like 93. So, and it was a real bottom out, like there wasn't enough there catching me. But supple everywhere else, so I do have room to go stiffer. Just kind of keep going stiffer on the fork until it's deflecting off of things and it's too chattery up the front, and then back it off a little bit. And if you find that sweet spot and you're still clapping, then you're going to have to go a token. but I think I'm good there. The paint's killer. I'd definitely put a frame wrap on it as soon as possible because it's going to get trashed. You can see it's already got some rub marks from from whatever. The power's killer. Climbing this bike, even though it's a light bike, it's 20.7 kilos. I weighed it as it stands with that tire, and it's the motor's amply powerful. It feels like I'm riding a normal e-bike. It just runs out of gas sooner. It's lighter, a little bit easier to throw over the fences and stuff. It just runs out of gas a little bit sooner. So 960 meters of climbing, 18.2 kilometers, I think it was, or 18.1 kilometers. And that was flexing. So that was in the number 4 power setting. So there's possible 5 bars of power. So heaps of power going up. Super easy to climb. Good workout. I got that done, that 960 climbing and 18.1 Ks in 59 minutes. So I wasn't hanging around. I wasn't messing around. And that included a little fork change and a little bit of a pressure change in the rear shock as well. So 2 little stops. Other than that, we were just non-stop. Killer bike. I love it. I'm excited to see how much better these e-bikes are going to get because the batteries are going to get better. The integration is probably going to get better. Maybe the motors might get a little bit more efficient. And maybe one day we can piss off this garbage 25k an hour limiter. Like, what are we doing? It just makes no sense. It's dangerous. Like, if I live in any other suburb than the suburb I'm in now, if I go north or west or south too far, certain places, not discriminating against anyone, but if I go to certain suburbs and I ride my bike at night, I'm going to get mugged. I can't get away. I'm pedaling in the mud after 25 k's an hour. It's so dangerous. Whereas on my normal bike, I can flex. I can get up to 35 and no one's sprinting and catching me when I'm at 35, 40 clicks. Bob and weave, hopping over stuff, I'm out, I'm gone. But at the 25k an hour limiter, you're just a sitting duck. So I don't like that. That's sketchy. I don't like coming into certain jumps where you just have to get a little bit more speed. That's kind of more of a rare thing, but it does happen. It can happen. I just think let the grown-ups be grown-ups. I can drive a car that's got a speed limiter of 180 kilometers an hour. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Other than that, that's enough ranting. Love the bike. Gears were crisp, SLX. Brakes were crisp, SLX. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me ride this thing. It is a hitter, and I know you're going to love it. So I'll get it back to you, and we'll see how you go.